Hello and welcome to episode 7 in the Direct Advisors Retirement Plan podcast. My name is Stacy Gregory. I'm a plan advisor with Direct Advisors, and today we're going to talk about a topic that is really near and dear to our hearts here at Direct Advisors, and that is the main responsibilities of a fiduciary. As a plan sponsor, you are a fiduciary, and as the investment advisor, we are a fiduciary. But who else is considered a fiduciary, and what does that all mean? Now, fiduciaries are considered an integral part of a retirement plan. They hold very important responsibilities and have to adhere to specific best practices, or else they can be held personally liable. Let's start with this though. Who's considered a fiduciary? Who are these people with all of this responsibility and liability? Well, in general, we often see people such as company owners, HR professionals, CFOs, and even board members acting as plan fiduciaries. But in all actuality, there are 5 main ways in which someone is considered a fiduciary. And it's worth noting that anyone can be one if they meet one of these qualifications. An employee might not start off as a fiduciary, but could become one through participation in one of these 5 qualifications. So, what are these 5 ways in which someone is considered a fiduciary in the plan? Number 1 is someone who exercises discretionary authority or control over plan management. 2, someone who exercises authority or control over management or disposition of plan assets. 3, someone who has discretionary authority or responsibility over plan administration. 4, a person or company who provides investment advice for compensation, so direct advisors, for example. And 5 is a named fiduciary, or someone specified in the plan document. Essentially, a fiduciary has decision-making power over the plan and its assets. This could be someone who makes decisions on things like the vesting schedule or eligibility requirements, or someone who signs off on distribution requests. Fiduciaries must carry out specific obligations, or they risk exposing themselves and the company to penalties and lawsuits. There's 4 main obligations. The first is a duty of loyalty, so acting solely in the best interest of plan participants and beneficiaries with the exclusive purpose of providing benefits and paying reasonable plan expenses. Next is the duty to act prudently. And the duty to act prudently doesn't mean do the best you can. Instead, it implies that you should come to a decision using a similar method that an ethical expert in the same field would use in similar circumstances. Acting as a prudent expert is a very high standard to meet and often requires you to rely on other experts for guidance. Next is the duty to diversify plan assets. For a defined contribution plan like a 401k that lets participants choose their own investments from a menu, the options available on the menu must be diverse. Direct Advisors is responsible for creating and monitoring the list of investment options. However, as a fiduciary, you must ensure that we're doing our duty by monitoring us. And we help you accomplish this by providing quarterly monitoring reports and meeting with you annually to discuss plan metrics. Last is the duty to act in accordance with plan documents. Provisions in the plan document must always be adhered to, assuming they don't conflict with the ERISA regulations, of course. And if there are eligibility rules, for example, for when someone can participate in the plan, those must be followed. If there are restrictions around withdrawing dollars from the plan, they must be followed. Vesting guidelines, employer contribution rules, calculation of compensation, all of this must be adhered to. And in addition to the 4 main obligations we just covered, there are some other best practices that fiduciaries should follow. Some of them include maintaining an investment committee and conducting regular investment reviews, developing and maintaining an investment policy statement, which Direct Advisors helps with. Ensure that plan expenses are reasonable given the level of services that are being provided by doing an annual fee benchmarking. Document processes of investment monitoring, selection, and termination, again, conducted by Direct Advisors. Keep meeting minutes to document processes and committee decisions. Communicate with participants on things like education, investment changes, blackout periods, etc. Maintain adequate fiduciary liability insurance, and in general, understand your fiduciary responsibilities. If you or your team would like further guidance on fiduciary responsibilities, Direct Advisors has put together a training that can help ensure that you're following appropriate guidelines. To set up a time to conduct this training or simply just ask questions on the fiduciary requirements, contact Direct Advisors by phone at 518-362-2119 or by email at info@directadvisors.com.